Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Joy Journey with Jen. I'm Jen Balco, and for the month of September, we're celebrating the 2-year anniversary of Fierce Awakenings. It was published in September 2023 on the September solstice, and it's kind of taking on its own spiral path. The subtitle is Calling and Encouraging Confidence to Walk Life's Spiral Path. And in the year-long journey that it took to produce the book, it came out with all this bang and all this vibrancy. And then the first year, the second year, we won an award. It was awesome. We won a Firebird award for our work. And that's really nice recognition. That was like a little poof that happened in 2024. And now, as we're coming to the second anniversary, it's been really curious to revisit some of the stories and see how in my own life some of these stories are still impacting me. And I got to give a little hat tip to my co-author and friend, Sarah Hoskin, who is doing some of these. She's taking a big initiative in re-interviewing some of the co-authors and seeing where they have been on this journey. Those links are going to be below. So just take take some time and go over there and catch some of the new interviews, because it will add some deeper insight into where we are all on our journeys. But I want to just introduce you to Joanna Lynn Steffel. She was actually our youngest co-author. She was in her 30s at the time when she was writing this. And the co-authors, we were 12 of us in total, and we ranged from the mid-30s to the early 70s, with a bunch of us sort of in that 40, 50, well, we were between all those decades and came with a lot of different intergenerational experience and stories. And the way that Joanna's story came, Joanna was reflecting on something that had happened to her in college. And her chapter is the third chapter in the book. And it comes in this part of the book where we're still trying to figure out, like, we're discovering the spiral path and what happens when life calls us this way, when we don't see our decisions as just linear choice points, but where we are coming into some knowledge that the choices that we're making may or may not be aligned to what we're really meant to do in the world. And Joanna, I just a hat tip to Joanna, because she's so bold in identifying herself as a queer Catholic mystic. When she talks about that and she put those words on paper, I thought, wow, how can we be all three of those, a queer Catholic mystic? And she says it best. She's found herself seeking universal truth through world religions. She has an obsession with story as a tool for healing. And she loves the way stories of the cosmos and self weave through astrology. So she's got a background in pastoral counseling and metaphysics, which to me is, oh my God, how can you be all of those beautiful things at the same time? So Joanna's story is about her time at Siena College. Is it college or university? I hold on a second. Well, so she's turning back to her college days at Siena, and she has a fall, and she really breaks her ankle. It's a huge setback for her, and it's a huge setback. Can you imagine just taking a fall and suddenly for like 13 weeks you can't really move? You have to go through surgery. The whole whirlwind that comes with that. Who's going to help take care of you? How are you going to imagine doing this when you're in college? You have all this work that you have to get done, and you now have to do like remote learning before remote learning was a thing. Like, oh God, my heart was broken for her when I was reading this thing. But the words that kind of keep coming back to me now, even, are these. And I'll just tell you, these are Joanna's words from the chapter, The Sacred Pause. The next few days take on a life of their own as the frenzy of fixing me begins. It seems like much of a blur. It's only now in the passenger seat of my parents' van driving down from Adrian, Michigan back to Bryan, Ohio, that I can string together what happened this week. I'm fading in and out of sleep, trying to fight off the remnants of anesthesia. I hate that feeling of grogginess and being out of control. Monday, the fall in the ER. Tuesday, discussion with the orthopedic surgeon. I broke that ankle. And not just in a way that I'd wear a cast. Oh no, I did her a good one. I'd be a bionic person, a plate and 4 screws and a pin to stabilize it as it healed for 13 weeks. Then a second surgery to remove the pin and replace the cast with a walking boot. We're now on Wednesday, post-surgery. I had not let this detour in my life even really set in. I was in crisis management mode, making decisions right and left out of sheer necessity. Ugh, the pain drugs are starting to wear off, and so is my patience. I asked if we can pull over in Lyons, Ohio at the convenience store for a snack and drink. Now, this was not just any convenience store or pit stop. Lyons is my mother's hometown, a midway point. The convenience store was the original site of my grandfather's car dealership, and across the street, my grandparents' house. Here was a safe place, a sacred holding space. I sent my parents on a fool's errand to hunt for provisions to provide me comfort. But a deeper solace came from being in this place where my family once gathered. While staring at the droplet of water falling down the window, I was alone and ready to release the tears that I had bravely held back until this moment. They began to pour, just like skies above already had. I have always found it easier to cry when the heavens do the same. The dam had been broken. Those are Joanna's words in Fierce Awakenings, and her moment of fierce awakening, of realizing that we are often in crisis management mode. Whether we want to be or not, there's always something going on, something that needs attention, something, right? There's always something. We're always like making decisions on the fly, just kind of doing them out of necessity, out of routine, out of just the busyness of life. And then when we pause, we find ourselves in a place. In this case, it was a physical place that brought her the release that she needed to have. We have the breakdown. We have a breakdown. It may not always come like that. It may come in a really messy way where you just can't handle it anymore. And, admittedly, 2025 has not been my easiest year. Actually, it's been since September of 2024. I'm just not quite sure. Something is shedding, something is leaving, something is not working. But I'm still trying to control it, trying to crisis manage it. And I'm not really ignoring it. I'm not ignoring it. I am moving with it. And it is slow and heavy. It is not rapid release the way that I have experienced things in the past. It is different. It is some other thing that is happening to me in my 50s. And it is really forcing me to look all the way back to college. So when I read Joanna's story, I see my 18 and 19-year-old self making choices at university, and then making choices into my 20s, and making choices into my 30s and 40s, and seeing how they all added up and how they put me, a lot of times I was just in survival mode, just getting through it out of necessity. And now, as I mentioned in Sarah's story, and as I mentioned in Shauna's story, I know there has to be a different way. And I don't I don't want to be wearing a boot walking through that. I don't want to break my own ankles trying to keep up with life. I'm trying to find the grace that comes with taking a stand in a new way. And this is going to directly tie into Josette's story that comes next. So come along for the journey, Fierce Awakenings. I'm really curious for you to have this book and see what Fierce Awakenings means to you, what it has meant to you, how you are releasing control, how you are trying to crisis manage your life, and if that is leading you to the place where you need to be now. So thank you to Joanna for saying those words to us and for being the words that I'm carrying with me still after all this time. And okay, wishing you well on the journey. Until next time, all the links will be below. You'll see some of Joanna's original words around her chapter in the links below. And, just with links back to Sarah's blogs and stories and essays that she's working on, kind of interweaving us together again. So until the next time, be well. Happy joy journey wherever it takes you today.